Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn about parts of speech in English. Let me introduce myself. I am CG Lakshmi Prasad. Assistant Professor of English, working at Government Degree College, Atmakur, Vanaparthi District. Today we are going to learn about parts of speech. It's going to be first video on parts of speech, and there's going to be many more, at least 2 or 3 videos for completing this part of grammar. So let us try to understand what is parts of speech, what are parts of speech, and how many parts of speech are there in English, and all these things we are going to learn in this video. Parts of speech means very simple. We have a number of words in English. All these words are divided into 8 parts. And remember, based on their working in the sentence. So let us try to see the definition once again. Words are divided into different kinds of classes called parts of speech according to their use. According to their use. Okay, so we cannot, if you ask me, if you give me a word and ask me what parts of speech is it, I cannot tell, because the same word can be a noun in one sentence, it can be adjective in another sentence, verb in another sentence, it can be even adverb in another sentence. Like that, we cannot tell. In isolation, a word cannot be defined as these parts of speech. Maybe few words can be defined, but not all the words. Okay, first we have to place it in a sentence and then see what is the function of that word, and then we have to decide to which part of speech that word belongs to. That is according to the work they do in a sentence. That is very important. But in isolation, we cannot tell, okay, to which parts of speech that word belongs to. The parts of speech are 8 in number. So there are 8 parts of speech, but one more, I'll tell you, there are actually 9 according to modern grammarians. But as far as the traditional grammarians, there are only 8 parts of speech. I'll tell you the 9th one at the end of this lesson. We will even discuss that one. First one is noun and pronoun, adjective, verb, adverb, preposition, conjunction, interjection. And in order to understand them better way, I will tell you uh, one concept that is closed set and open set. What do I mean by closed set? Means the words are fixed. There cannot be new words. There cannot be new words. They are fixed, and even 100 years back, only they are there. Okay, and even now, it will be the same. Even after 100 years, it will be the same. And there is no addition of words in some classes of parts of speech. And so let us try to understand which parts of speech is open set and which parts of speech is closed set. Okay, so that we get to understand words better. First one, let us take noun. Is noun a closed set or open set? That means, is there any possibility of getting new words added to noun? Yes, every day new words are coming up when there is a new product, when there is a new discovery, and we are naming them, and that names are becoming nouns. Nouns are nothing but names, that's all. Names of places, persons, things. So there are so many words. If you go back to Shakespeare, there were only few words, but now we have so many words. For example, email. 100 years back, there is no word called email. Internet, no internet. Mobile phone, no mobile phone. Okay. So many words every day. We are, adding new words. When there is a new discovery, when there is a new uh, new thing found, we are naming it and we are giving a name, and they're all becoming nouns. So noun is a open set, and a pronoun, is it a closed set or open set? It's a closed set. Okay, why? Because there cannot be, there is no possibility of getting added to new words. We have first person pronoun, second person pronoun, third person pronoun, and even there are, subjective pronouns, objective pronouns, and like that, possessive pronouns, like that. So many pronouns are there, but they are closed set, and there cannot be any addition to these pronouns. Like I is I many years ago, even now it is there. But there are some archaic words, like there were thy, these were pronouns, but now they are extinct. Now nobody is using it. Earlier, we find them in old poetry. Thy means your, thee means you. Okay, like that words are there, but now they extinct. But no new word is added. No new word is added. They are the same. They are the same. So pronoun can be classified as a closed set. Then we have adjective. Adjectives can be added. There are so many ways, like, um, when technology is developing, there are many ways of describing things. Adjective is a describing word, or it describes the noun, how it is. Fast browsing. Okay, browsing man. That means he is always browsing internet. Maybe we can call him browsing man. So that browsing is a new word. Okay, so like that, internet man. Internet is noun, but it can be used even as an adjective. So adjectives can be added. So it is again open set. Then verb. What about verb? Verb again is, open set. Why? Because we are doing like browsing. I told you I am browsing net. Browsing is a new word, which was not there some 100 years back, or even 50 years back. There was no word called browsing. So many words like that, they are coming up, and every day new word is getting added to English vocabulary, and we have been using them. Okay, so verb again is a open set. Then when it comes to adverb also is open set. Okay, adverb means it gives some extra meaning to verb. It modifies the verb. So here also some new words possibility is there. Then preposition. Preposition means it tells a relation of noun with another noun, and it connects two nouns, and it tells the position of noun. So there are no possibility of like in, under, above. It's a closed set. There, I think there is no possibility of adding new preposition. Okay, and sometimes adverbs can be, used as prepositions, and prepositions can be used as adverbs, conjunctions, like that. But prepositions is no new word is there. Conjunction. Conjunction again is a closed set, like, and, are, while, so on, like that. There are so many conjunctions which connects two words or two phrases or two sentences. Again, it's a closed set. There is no possibility of adding new conjunctions. Then interjection, I cannot categorize them either closed set or open set, because these are emotional words. When you get some emotion, you utter such sounds. But there are closed set of words are there, like hooray. Maybe I never say hooray when I'm very happy, but I don't know how this word has come into existence. Alas, when I am sad, I never say alas. Maybe I say amma, abba, like that. But in English, I don't know whether people say when they are very sad, alas. I don't know, but it's a closer set. We have to understand when somebody says alas, we have to understand that he is very sad. He is having some problem. When he says hooray, we have to understand that he is very happy and he has achieved something. He has seen some victory or something like that. But uh, as far as emotional words are concerned, they come out instantly from our through out of our emotion. So I think that it can be open set, it can be open, because a human being is different from person to person, and reactions also differ from person to person, and even from time to time. Okay, 100 years back emotions are different, the expression emotions may be same, but expressing emotions differ. And how do you express emotion, that differs from person to person, and even from time to time, and even from place to place. I told you, hey, alas, I have never heard any Indian saying expressing hurray or alas. Okay, only in written text we read them, and we understand their emotion, that he is happy or he is sad. So interjections, as far as I understand, they are emotional words. And when you say amma, it is not noun, it is interjection, because you are getting pain, you say amma. Okay, but in English, they don't accept. But we have to develop our own Indian English. So maybe when we develop, I consider amma as interjection or abba as interjection. So let us see how they are. Now we know that a noun is open set, pronoun is closed set, adjective is open set, verb is open set, adverb is open set, preposition is closed set, conjunction is closed set, and interjection we cannot tell anything. So there are three closed sets and four open sets and one between. Okay, I'm not very sure about it. I'm not very sure. This is no my way of I try to understand parts of speech in this way also. That's why I want to share this with you. Now let us see, let us try to understand all these eight parts of speech and what are they. Basic things, introduction only. Okay, we are going to have many more videos where in detail we are going to learn about nouns, verbs, adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, all these things we are going to learn in detail in the following videos. But here in this video, we are going to learn just what is a noun, what is a pronoun, what is a verb, what is adverb, what is adjectives, maybe some definitions with some examples, with some examples. Okay, let us see what is noun. A noun is a word used as a name of a person, place, or things. Simple definition is noun is nothing but names. That's names of things that we can see with our eyes, feel with our touch, feel with our taste, that is our five sensory organs. They are all names. Then what about other things? There are certain things which we cannot see with our eyes, they are just ideas, like we call abstract nouns. They are also names, like truth, honesty. Honesty cannot be seen. In order to make my students understand what is a noun, I used to ask, suppose if you are a teacher, you're a primary school teacher, and you are teaching nouns to the students, and first you want to tell you what is a pen, and it's very easy. You just take the pen from your pocket and show them this is called a pen, and they can see, and even if you want, you can give it to their hands, they can touch, and even they can write something and understand it, that it is called a pen, and what is it used for, and what is the use of it. It's very easy, and there is a you don't need to take any further or much pains to teach what a pen is. Okay, or what a pencil is, or what a book is, what a teacher is, what a mother is, what a father is. They can see them with their eyes, and they can tell us better than students can tell better things than what we tell. Okay, because they experience. But there are certain words. which are very difficult for the teacher to drive them into their minds. It's very difficult. Suppose you want to tell them what is honesty. Is there anything that you can show to your student and tell this is honesty? No, nothing. There is no such thing that we can see what is honesty. Very difficult. Students, always, even to this age, sometimes we get doubt. Is it honesty or is it not? We doubt. What is truth? Very difficult to tell. What is justice? Very difficult to tell. What is justice to me may not be justice to you. A thief is there, or one murderer is there. He murdered somebody. He has his own, reasons, and he thinks that it is right that he has killed him. But what does the court say? He punishes him to death penalty. He gives him death penalty, and everybody thinks that justice is done. But according to the murderer, whatever that he has done is justice. And what we think is justice is not justice to him. So what is the meaning of justice? It differs from person to person, place to place, circumstance to circumstance. It changes. Okay. So these abstract nouns are very difficult for the teacher to teach, particularly students. Then how do we go about teaching these abstract nouns? Through stories. One of the devices we use as a teachers, what we do is we tell the story. Suppose you want to tell what is honesty, you tell a story and there is a person and what he does, and at last he shows his honesty by doing that. Oh, if you do that, it is called honesty. It is only an idea. What is truth? Maybe we tell the story of Harishchandra and how he suffered because of because he want to uphold the truth. He doesn't want to tell lies. Just he could have told that no, I have never promised. I am not ready to give you anything. He could have told, but he never did that. And Mahatma Gandhi, My Experiments with Truth, there is a very big book, his own autobiography, and he has been trying to tell what truth is throughout this book. And even after reading the entire book, you still get doubt what is truth, where is the truth, and what experiments he has done. There are so many doubts because it's very difficult. These concepts, abstract nouns, these are concepts, these are ideas that exist in our mind. Very difficult. And what I think is truth may not be truth to somebody else. What I think is justice may not be justice to another people, another person. So it's very difficult to teach such words. So they are also nouns. They are also nouns. So when we come to nouns, when we in the next video we are going to learn about nouns. There we are going to discuss them in detail. But here, what is a noun is? Noun is a word used as a name of a person, place, or thing. So here are some examples. Akbar was a great king. Akbar was a great king. See how many nouns are there here? Akbar, and even king is a noun. So it's a name of some designation. It's a designation name. Akbar was a great king. So Akbar is noun. It's a name of some person. Name of some person. Kolkata is on the banks of the river Hooghly. Hooghly is again a noun. It's a noun because it's a name of a river. And Kolkata is a name of place. Name of a place. The rose smells sweet. Rose is a name of something, some flower. So again, it's a noun. Then the sun shines brightly. Sun is the name of certain celestial body, and we know we can see it no half the day, and half the day it is hidden behind the globe, and we can see that. So night and daytime we can see sun. Okay, so sun is the name of something. Then courage. See, courage again is abstract noun. Honor is an abstract noun. It's very difficult to understand what is courage. Okay, it's very difficult. What I think is courage, people may not consider it as courage. They may say you are covered. Okay, then honor. Honor again, it's a very difficult. Okay, what degree of honor do you have? It's very difficult. But they're all names. They're all names of some person, Akbar, place, Kolkata, thing, Rose and Sun, courage and honor, some ideas. So these are all nouns. And note the word thing includes. What does thing includes means? All objects that we can see, hear, taste, touch or smell. That is our five sensory organs. And with these five sensory organs only, we perceive things. We understand things, how hard it is, how taste it is, what taste it is, and what smell it is, and what is the shape of it. So all these things we perceive through our five sensory organs, and all that we can perceive with our five sensory organs are nouns. And I told you something that we can think of but cannot perceive by the senses. I told you abstract nouns, like they are ideas. We can only think of them. They exist in our minds and they do not exist physically. Okay. They are called abstract nouns and they are also names of some ideas. So they are also nouns. So I hope you understand what a noun is. But we are going to learn more about nouns in the next videos. Next one. Yeah. Next one is pronoun. What is pronoun? Noun we know. Noun means names of all the places, persons, things that we have understood. Then what is a pronoun? And remember, every time we cannot, use names. Suppose I'm talking with Rama. Can I say every time, Rama, come here. Rama, sit here. Rama, do you come with me to a film? Shall we go to a movie? Rama, how are you? Rama, how are you again? How are Rama? Can you say how are Rama? Or how is Rama? It's very difficult. We don't use all the nouns. So the uh, pronoun is a word used instead of a noun. Instead of a noun. And there are, uh, three ways of using these pronouns. That is first person, second person, third person. Suppose my name is Prasad. Suppose I want to introduce myself. How do I introduce? I am Prasad. Do I say Prasad is Prasad? First, me, Prasad. This Prasad, I am calling myself as I. That is why it is first person. I am eating. I don't say Prasad is eating. Prasad is not some third person. In fact, names are for others, not for us. I never call myself Prasad. I always call myself I. So my name is not for me. It is my name, but it is not for me because I never use it. I always say I. I never say Prasad, Prasad, Prasad. Okay. Even while introducing, I say I am Prasad. That means I. First, it starts with I, but never Prasad. Okay. Even you do that. You never use your name. Your names are used by somebody else. They say, I saw Prasad's video. My teacher name is Prasad. Okay. I met Prasad. Something like that. But we never use our names. We always use I instead of our name. So this is first person. Singular. Plural means if there are so many people and if there are suppose three people are there, Rama, Krishna, Sita. Rama, Krishna, Bhima. Okay. Uh, do we say Rama, Krishna, Bhima are friends or do we say we are friends? We say we. We say we. Okay. When do we call name? Rama, when do we call? When he is not there. When he is front of us, we never say Rama. We simply say you. Okay, you are my friend. What are you doing? What are you eating? Why are you sleeping? Why don't you read? Why don't you watch a movie? Did you watch a movie? How was the movie? It's like that. So actually, even we don't use names if the person is in front of you. So when the person is in front of you, what do you say? You. This is second person. So in the first person we have I and we. Second person we have you. Then third person we have he, she, it. I told you when person is not there, we say Rama. Of course, we say Rama, but second time when we are saying something about the same person, then we say he or she. If it is a thing, we say it. If it is plural, we say they. So he, she, it, they. They are third person pronouns. Okay, so we are going to learn more about pronouns in the next videos. Then adjective. What does adjective do? Adjective is a word used to add something to the meaning of a noun. So this adjective can restrict the meaning of a noun or it can expand the meaning of a noun. How? Suppose we say boy. What kind of boy? Short boy, tall boy, good boy, bad boy, intelligent boy, brave boy, coward boy. So all these are adjectives. Coward, brave, tall, short, big. Okay. All these what they are doing, they are giving some extra meaning to the boy. By itself, we have some meaning of boy. When we say lazy boy, immediately the meaning of boy in our mind, suppose we have boy means we know is where boys are used to be, usually when they are small, they are very active, they are they do lot of mischievous things, like that meaning we have. But when we say lazy boy, the meaning in our mind immediately changes to something else. Oh, lazy fellow. Tall boy. Oh, tall boy. Short boy. Oh, short boy. See how the meaning of boy is changing in our mind. Immediately the concept of boy is changing. Okay, we have so many. Like that, these adjectives, they can restrict the meaning or enhance the meaning of a noun. There are 20 boys in this class. See, boys. How many? 20. So it is also giving some extra information about a noun, boys. Okay, like that, these are all adjectives. Then verb. Let us try to understand what a verb is. Verb means it is also name. Name of what? Name of some actions. Name of some action, event, or state. Okay. All the names of actions are called verbs. Suppose, what are you doing? Sleeping. Okay, sleeping is an activity or some action. That name of that action is sleeping. Name of eating, beating, reading, writing. So all these are actions. They are given names. They are verbs. So verb is a word used to express an action, event, or state. What is state? Suppose when I say, I feel lazy. Feel. Is there any action? Okay, I love my mother. Is there any action? Nothing. It's only feeling. It's a state. That's all. Feelings. And it is a chalk piece. It is only a state. We are just saying. So it can be there are certain verbs which do not have any action at all. Okay. So it can be an event or it can be a state. So let us see. The girl wrote a letter to her cousin. Wrote means there is an action. You have to take a pen and paper and you have to sit down and write. So there is some time you need. Kolkata is a big city. Is there any action? Kolkata is a big city. There is no action as such. There is Kolkata. There is a big city. And what he is doing? It is just telling the status of Kolkata. What is the status of Kolkata? It is a very big city. So like that, verbs can be stative verbs and action verbs. And these things we're going to learn more in the coming videos. Then we have adverb. What is an adverb? As the name states, add something to the verb. Add something to the verb. Okay. Like we told you, adjective adds something to the noun. Adjective, what does it do? It adds something to the noun, and it actually modifies the noun. Sorry, qualifies the noun. Not modifies, qualifies the noun. That means quality of the noun. It tells the quality of the noun. What is the quality? Good boy or bad boy? Tall boy or short boy? It is the quality of that noun. But whereas when it comes to adverb also gives some extra meaning to the verb. But what does it do? It modifies, changes the meaning of verb. Okay, for example, let us see. He worked the sum quickly. He worked the sum, or he is running. So, for example, Rama is running, Sita is running. Both are running. Both are actions. Are the both actions same? If the both actions are same, it should be they should run at the same pace, same speed, and they should reach the destination at the same time. Does it happen? Surely one of them will be faster and one of them will be slower. Sure. Okay, when two persons are running, there will be a variation as far as the speed is concerned and even manner is concerned. So we say, suppose if Rama is running fast, we say Rama is running fast. Sita is running slowly. Sita is running slowly. When we say Sita is running slowly, the meaning of running is deprived or changed. Running fast, it is enhanced. So it is what actually doing? These adverbs are modifying the verbs. They are changing the verbs. They're changing the restricting the meaning of the verb or enhancing the meaning of the verb as in the case of adjective. Adjective qualify the noun, it changes the meaning of the noun. In the same way, adverbs modifies the verb, it changes the meaning of the verb. That is the reason why these adverbs are called adverb. It adds to the verb. It adds to the verb. So an adverb is a word used to add something to the meaning of a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. So not only verb. Okay. Adverb not only adds meaning to the verb, and even it can add meaning to the adjective. It can enhance the meaning of adjective, or it can enhance the meaning of another adverb. Let us see here. I have given you three examples. One what one thing does, and another thing. Let us see here. He worked the sum quickly. So what does this quickly does? It is modifying the verb worked. He worked the sum. How did he work? Quickly. So quickly is connected to verb worked. So it is changing the meaning of verb worked. So it is adverb. See, the flower is very beautiful. What is beautiful? Beautiful is adjective. Very beautiful. So what is very doing? It is, enhancing the beauty. It is enhancing the meaning of beautiful. So it is enhancing the adjective. So it is also called intensifier. We say intensifier. We are intensifying the meaning of adjective, and it is adverb. She pronounced the word quite correctly. Correctly is adverb. And quite correctly means more correctly, something like more correctly. So this quite, what it is doing, it is again enhancing the meaning of correctly. It is intensifying. So these are intensifiers or adverbs. Okay. So intensifiers can enhance the or decrease the meaning of adjective or adverb. They are adverbs. Okay. And let us go to preposition. As the name says, position. It gives a position of noun and it is always placed before the noun. Preposition on the table. Table is noun and it is before noun on the table. What does it do? The book is on the table. So it is giving the relation between book and the table. How book is related to the table? Book is related to the table because the book is on the table. So on is doing what is it? Suppose if you remove this, the book is the table. The book is the table. It cannot be. Only when you place on the table, the relationship between book and the table is established. So a preposition is a word used with a noun or a pronoun to show how the person or thing denoted by the noun or pronoun to show how the person or thing denoted by the noun or pronoun stands in relation to something else. So what relation is there between one noun and another noun? What is the relation? Why two nouns are there in the sentence? The book is the table. There is no relation. There is no relation between book and table. But when we say on the table, on is establishing the relation between book and table. There is a cow in the garden. Cow garden. What is the relation between cow and garden? Cow is in the garden. Okay. The girl is fond of music. So what is the relation between a girl and music? She is fond of music. She is fond of music. A fair little girl sat under a tree. Okay. Sat. See, here relation is between verb and noun. Sat. Where did she sit? Under a tree. Under a tree. So it can be relation between two nouns. It can be relation between adjective and adjective and another noun, or verb and another noun. Like that, it establishes relations. That's why it's called preposition. Now let's go to the next one. Conjunction. Conjunction means, what does it do? Junction. We know what is a junction. Junction means meeting point. Okay. Railway junction. Okay. X road, we say X road. I'll be waiting you at the X road. That is junction again. Railway junction. What happens at the railway junction? There are two or three routes, they come together at that station, and the trains come from different places. Some two or three ways, from incoming two or three ways will be there, outgoing some two or three ways will be there. Like that, some two or three routes get connected at that place. That's why it's called junction. In the same way, conjunction, what does it do? It connects two words. It can be two words, it can be two phrases, it can be two sentences. Okay, so it connects two words, or two phrases, or two sentences. Okay, a conjunction is a word used to join words or sentences. For example, let us examine these examples. Rama and Hari are cousins. So here, what are connected? Rama, Hari. These two names, two persons, are connected with and. 2 and 2 make 4. So once again, 2 and 2, 2 are connected with and. I ran fast but missed the train. Here two sentences are there actually. I ran fast, one sentence. I missed the train, another sentence. These two sentences are connected with the but and made into one sentence. Made into one sentence. I ran fast but missed the train. So this is how these conjunctions, what do? They connect two words or two phrases or two sentences. Okay. So these conjunctions are very important in English, and we sometimes get confused. Then interjection. Interjection, I told you already, these are emotion words, expresses our emotion. Interjection is a word which expresses some sudden feeling. It can be a feeling or emotion or whatever, it comes out of heart. But unfortunately, I still have to understand what is hooray and alas. Even after these many years of teaching, I never understand why people, when they are very happy, why people say hooray. I never said, and I never heard anybody saying hooray when they are very happy in India. Maybe in foreign countries, I don't know why do they say hooray when they are very happy. When suppose India wins the World Cup, what expression? How do you express it? Do you say hooray? I never heard. Okay. And when somebody in your family dies, do you say alas? Different. You start, wailing with very large sounds. It's a different. They are all interjections. They are all interjection. But as far as the writing is concerned, I understand that whenever there is a word hooray, I understand that the person is very happy. And whenever there is a word alas, I understand that the person is very sad. But what connection is there to their emotion, I never understood, because I never use it myself, and I never saw anybody saying alas. Okay. Then I told you there is another parts of speech. Some modern grammarians include determiners among the parts of speech. Determiners. What are the determiners? Determiners are words like a, an, the, this, that, these, those, every, each, some, any, my, his, one, two. Usually they come before nouns. Usually they come before nouns. They, what do? They determine or limit the meaning of the nouns that follow. Okay. And they can be considered, the traditional grammarians, they consider them as adjectives. They consider them as adjectives. But now they because adjectives means there should be a description. When we say a boy, there is no description as such. We don't know anything about boy except that he is singular. Okay, and nothing. Suppose when I say lazy boy, we know lazy means. But a boy, except a number, that is a singular. The boy, except that we know that person already. There is no description. That's why modern grammarians, maybe for this reason, I am not very sure. Maybe for this reason, they want to make another set of parts of speech, that is determiners. Okay, but determiners are very important. We have to learn them, and of course, it is there in your syllabus as well. And we will take up one day. We will do one video on that one, which determine or limit the meaning of the nouns that follow. And last, what we are doing, as words are divided into different classes according to the work they do in sentences, it is clear that we cannot say to which part of speech a word belongs unless we see it used. I told you at the beginning of the sentence itself, it has to be used in the sentence. Then only we can say whether which part of speech the word is. Here, see, one word we have taken after. In one sentence, it is adverb. In another sentence, it is pronoun. In another sentence, it is conjunction. They arrive soon after. Okay, soon after, because see, it is modifying arrive. They arrived after us, pronoun, because it is connecting arrived and us. They arrived after we had left is conjunction. They arrived and we had left. Two sentences is connecting. Like that, they can be, a word can be different parts of speech in different sentences. And some practices, let us see. Still waters run deep. What is still? So what is actually it is doing? It is adjective. It is qualifying waters. We are not talking about running water. We are talking about still waters. So still waters, it's an adjective. See here, still. He still lives in that house. Sorry, house it should be. It is adverb. Okay, he lives still. It is modifying the verb lives. After the storm comes the calm. After the storm comes the calm. It is preposition because shows the relation between storm and comes. Storm and comes. It is a establishing relation. The after effects of the drug are bad. Adjective. After effects. So it is qualifying effects. Okay, effects is noun here. It's not verb. So it is qualifying the noun. The uptrain, adjective. Up is adjective because uptrain, downtrain. Okay, upcoming train, downcoming train, something like that. It's adjective. It weighs about a ton, adverb, about a ton. So it is modifying verb weighs. He told us all about the battle. So it is preposition. So it is connecting all and battle. Then he was only a yard off me. So it is again preposition. Yard me. Okay, it is showing establishing relation between yard and me. Suddenly one of the wheel came off. Adverb. Off is modifying came. Muslims fast in the month of Ramzan. So it's a verb. Fast is verb. Okay. He kept the fast for a week. See here. Here it has become noun. Fast. Fast is used as a noun. He kept the fast for a week. He is on the committee. Preposition. On. Okay. Let us move on. Adverb. See, on he is a move on because it is modifying verb move. Sit down and rest a while. It's a noun. Rest a while. Time. A time is used as a noun here. I will watch while you sleep. Conjunction. See here. I will watch one sentence. You sleep is one sentence. It is connecting two sentences. They while away their evenings with the books. They while away. See here, while three whiles are there. One is noun and second one is conjunction. The third one is verb. They while away. They spent away. While means spent. Verb is there. So like that, sentences are different. Okay. Thank you very much. I think time is up. Thank you very much. We'll meet you in the next video.